I should have been pumped for this episode. I mean, last week's was amazing and astounding and gave us so much, and this week we're kind of back into it. It's the last 4 before the end of the show, and they even got Bill Paxton's son James to play young John Garrett. Yet, I don't know, maybe Jia Yang's right. Sometimes trying to do the right thing just comes out all wrong. It's Agents of S.P.O.I.L.E., Season 7, Episode 10. Stolen. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of Agents of S.P.O.I.L.E. So yes, of course, spoilers coming your way. And as always, do want to remind you about our quick jump index system. Just take a glance down in the description below. We're going to have this entire review titleized, time-stamped, broken down into easily digestible chunks. So you can watch the middle first, the end after that, the beginning last. You can watch this review in any order you'd like. Alright, now before I get into this week's episode, I do want to make a quick shout out to Bessie Edwards 50, one of our great fans here, who we last week, both on the review and in Fans of S.P.O.I.L.E., we were discussing, of course, Phlebotinum, the made-up word that Gemma creates in order for Daisy to recognize and do the whole time stream, time loop recognition. Well, Phlebotinum, of course, is an actual thing, and strangely enough, it is an actual thing that means a made-up thing. Technically, Phlebotinum is the magical, mysterious device, thing, computation, whatever you need in order to move the plot forward. So it is your Star Trek gravitonium receptor processor. It is your Harry Potter super spell or magical item type of thing. It is whatever thing that you need in order to move your plot towards the end. So it joins my my personal dictionary in a favorite place. One of my favorite film terms is, of course, MacGuffin. And Phlebotinum should go right next to that, because you would use a Phlebotinum in order to get to the MacGuffin, or closer towards your MacGuffin. So, wonderful, perfect phrase, and I love that she comes up with an imaginary phrase that is a real thing, but also means imaginary stuff. So, Bessie Edwards 50, you jumped right in there and got the definition for us. Greatly appreciated, and yeah, new favorite word for me. Alright, so let's get straight on into the review then. And like I had mentioned in the opener, definitely one of the high points of this episode was bringing in James Paxton, Bill Paxton's son, to play a young John Garrett. In some ways, it's a good and a bad thing. And even some of the personification of John maybe means a little bit more in the larger project, because while he doesn't, of course, look exactly like his father, the smile, quick little expressions, the kind of twinkle in his eye is all Bill Paxton, is all John Garrett, and that's really all that we needed. And yet, that was layered over with maybe a few too many seeming catchphrases or references to his more wild-eyed older self that we are familiar with, that maybe kind of press the point a little too much. And that's really, in a way, what this episode felt like. It was just doing too much. I mean, we're back in Afterlife. We should be excited. Daisy is getting a second chance to meet up with her mom and kind of have that discussion, and yet those emotional moments, I didn't care. And I don't know if it's just like I'm expecting more towards the end, and I feel like we're still in a chess negotiating position. But in the same way was the approach towards all of the powers and everything. Getting superpowers is now blood transfusion, an easy thing. Yeah, apparently it was a hard process, but not so much for Nathaniel, who still has Quake's powers from the original, just a little bit of fluid, some spinal fluid, and glands. Now, a more streamlined process, and yet I would expect, if you're able to refine this process so much, you've had more Inhumans, and why doesn't Nathaniel have a larger group with him? I mean, it's just, there's just stuff that works and doesn't work. It makes sense and it doesn't make sense. And I felt like I said, like, this is just a chess moving position. I feel like we've sort of, if there's only 3 episodes left, this was a waste. It didn't move a lot. I mean, we had a very interesting twist at the end with the grabbing of Gemma and finally being that was what the enemy is after. But that just ends up making Nathaniel as kind of basically Sybil's errand boy. If everybody else is disposable except for John Garrett that can teleport them in and fly the plane so that Nathaniel can then deliver Gemma to Sybil. Where's the anarchy in that? Where's the larger group? It seems petty for the time frame they're trying to place it all in. And I don't know. I guess I'm just a little disappointed in that. There were great moments. Yo-Yo using her power, the bit with her and Mac, like, hey, dummies, go get them. I mean, it was just, there were great moments. Mac giving up the command to Phil, terms all of aside, we're in a tight spot. We need you to be you. And then even Coulson turning that around, it's like, well, I'm disposable. Or at least recyclable. You asked me to be me. I mean, in some ways there are activities like it is that end. And yet, the storyline is also, Also, I don't like Cora. I don't like the actress that plays Cora. There isn't anything there. I don't know. I mean, again, there were good moments. It moves the storyline forward and so on and stuff. There were just too many elements that, I don't know, it just seems wrong. And it's not like, I mean, this is written by Mr. Kitson. Can't remember his name, Dane. Planet of Kitson fame, a longtime writer of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's not like he doesn't know these things. Not like that he shouldn't know that Phil Coulson trained with Garrett and should recognize a young Garrett, and yet doesn't know who he is. Again, that's a point that doesn't make sense. Garrett specifically says, remember training with Fury, slicing the pie? That's a basic tactical technique. It's basic training. They would know each other that long. Even if there was a few years older until they actually met, he would recognize a younger Garrett. And again, that's sort of what it feels. It's like you have these elements, and yet they just don't seem to splish right with the rest of the show. I don't know. Just a little disappointed, I guess. Alright, I'm going to be a bit of a jerk and slightly adjust things this week with our almost Scene of the Week for this week. Just kind of in light of how I'm sort of feeling about the episode. And also because it was something that I thought was going to be amazing and just sort of petered out. And I'm talking about our big Daisy-Nathaniel confrontation at the end. Nathaniel, being a big old jerk face as he is, he's only the way he is because he knows what the future's going to be. It's the only thing that sort of allows him to be the sort of jerky self that he is. Otherwise, he doesn't really have a whole lot to offer. Honestly, it seems. I don't get the whole smarts or craftiness outside of just getting Quake and calling a white horse. Anyway, I'm losing point here. This should be a kind of an interesting confrontation, the two against them. And also the whole Jia Yang being the mom data drop that's right there. Because, of course, they've hidden the information tactically through the episode of May not being able to tell Daisy, and then Daisy not wanting to tell her exactly what it is, but almost getting that moment of like, yeah, well, my mom was not really there, and it all ended badly. So, yeah, kind of an expected and douchey move on Nathaniel's part to drop all of this. And not just like, oh, by the way, yeah, that's your daughter, but oh, this is all what happened. It goes through the very quick story of them turning on each other and so on, and almost bringing up Cal's name, which you can see why Daisy didn't want to do this. So there's kind of a big moment. And then when Nathaniel kind of pulls himself up from that and does the, I've had these powers longer, and tries to do the bigger thing, and yeah, we get the sad moment. We get Jia Yang protecting the daughter, giving up her life, and dying unexpectedly. I know I'm pushing through all this, but like I said, at this point, I didn't really care anymore. But But when that happens, we get and all I was thinking was I am Quake. Because yeah, Nathaniel might have the powers, but they're borrowed. Daisy Johnson is Quake. And her ability and power with this, she would have destroyed the planet. You know, legendary. Different thing, of course, Phlebotinum and such. But I was expecting that moment, and it was great. It was slow-mo. She's standing up. She's get the hero pose, and I was just like, oh, yeah, this is where it's all going to pay off, man. This is going to be epic. And then May shoots Nathaniel. Nathaniel runs away, and Daisy drops to the ground. And I'm like, yeah, that was supposed to be cool. I mean, one, May missed. Okay, maybe May missed a kill shot because of the Quakey stuff. But she's still shooting at Nathaniel while Daisy is on the other side. That May, Nathaniel, Daisy, miss, hit Daisy. Tactically also not really a smart thing to do. So, I mean, I get the drama from it, but I feel like we were really robbed. Like they were trying and promising to give us a moment that didn't happen. And so, again, it's like an almost scene of the week. Kind of like the episode. This really should have landed, and yet just didn't. Oh, and as a quick aside, I know the big concern in the episode is, of course, we have to save Jia Yang because Daisy hasn't been born yet, and we have to guarantee her existence. Yeah, we lost Mac's parents, but at least him and his brother had already been born, right? Well, not really anything to worry about here, because apparently, once you're pulled from the time frame, whatever rules of time travel they're using, whether it's quantum universe or time scale or Back to the Future or whatever, well, it's not Back to the Future rules. Because Deke exists, and his whole future is gone. So whether or not Fitz and Gemma Doe have a daughter that are going to then have another son whose name is Deke, a Deke like in the future, the world and everything that he existed in doesn't exist. So time frames and all that happening, you probably wouldn't get an actual Deke, and yet he is still here with us. Also, since Jia Yang died and Daisy didn't just disappear in a poof of smoke or fade out, Back to the Future style, also, she still exists. So once, whatever time rules they're playing by, one of them at least it seems to be is once you're plucked from the time stream and are moving around, you are independent of, which means you're no longer tied to the effects or changes to your own timeline. You are creating your new one. This is sort of like what Hulk gets into in Endgame, which is why this is most likely a quantum base. But anyway, I know, time mechanics gets funky. She's fine, is where I'm getting. Alright, and I do want to take a moment to talk about powers, and you guys know how much I've complained about this of late. So I just need to just touch on it real briefly of how I'm annoyed about this whole thing. Because superpowers should be a little more difficult, and now it's just sort of plugging in the machine, and quite honestly, maybe a couple of hours, an hour or so of slight discomfort. And that's it. I feel like it should be a little bit harder. They do this with mutants and X-Men too. They start playing with canceling powers and moving powers and hiding powers in order to sort of add new elements and such to it. And I just don't think that this should be something that should be this easy. Yes, what is it? Discovery requires experimentation. How many Inhumans have they experimented on? The idea was that at least that I felt that he'd been hunting Inhumans around. Certainly when Jia Yang and Gordon show up, he's hunting us. I mean, feeling like there should be an army, a group, at least more than one or two. But and I realize this could be budgetary concerns. I'm not getting on that. Even just the legend, the story, there's guys all around, quick little shot of different people, different things. It's just there's only like a handful of people. He got them just there at Afterlife. He doesn't have anybody with powers of anywhere else. Look, it's just, it's annoying. I did think Gordon's death was funny. I got you where you needed to go, Phil. And I know that's kind of a cruel thing. I mean, first of all, the transfer of powers. I love Garrett sort of like freaking out in the middle of it. Is he going to keep his eyes? Wait a minute, this could be gone. And then he disappears in the next room out of control. Again, which is kind of a nice thing. And I love at least they gave Garrett the idea that he couldn't necessarily control his landings. And yet, when Gordon first got his powers, as we saw in the flashback back in season 2, a lot more chaos, a lot more jumping around. Again, there's no discipline required to harness these powers. And I think that's the other hard thing. Even if you transfer them easier, holding on to them and figuring them out should be more difficult than hey, I teleported once. Yeah, that's a good word. Great, I can take you wherever you need to go now. Pick a place on the planet. I'm good. I did this once. Accidentally into the next room. But I'm sure I got it now. I'm just saying that it's just giving the powers again. In some ways, it's the MacGuffin. It's a phlebotinum, but it's a fake phlebotinum because he sacrifices all these people. He just wanted Garrett to get in the pilot in order to deliver Gemma at the end. So what the heck was all that for? I don't know. Okay, look. I know I'm complaining a lot. I'm not saying that I hated everything about this episode. There's a lot of stuff that was fun in this. Look, they even had a boombox there in the opening to place us again nicely right in the middle of the 80s, which was a nice little thing. I love the little bits of references they have. The Triskelion that shouldn't be built yet. Things are changed. I love seeing Roxy Glass there now as an agent. Well, really now as an agent. Because she wasn't before, because Deke didn't have the ability to do all of that. But she and the rest of the group have gone on. There's small little changes. Even the welcome back director, we didn't expect you to be back so soon, She's like the double agent working for two shields, in a way. Which was, again, just kind of cool little moment. Mac giving up directorship right back to Coulson. Like, we just need you, man. Come on, let's stop all this, games around. We need the right play. We need you in charge. I appreciated that. Like I said, the Yo-Yo and Mac stuff towards the end there, I thought that was great. Loved the fight scene against John Garrett with May there. That was kind of fun. I even liked Daisy's slight discomfort around Sousa because they kiss, but only she remembers because time jumps happen, so he doesn't know that she knows that he likes her. But now she's reacting in the sense of they did something, but has that little discomfort, but no one knows. But of course, Gemma can sort of see that. So there were a lot of nice moments. And of course, again, James Paxton, beautiful. Love the fact that they had him in. He's great. Again, needs a little more seasoning acting-wise and so on. But that's fine. I think some of it, again, was just some overly cheesy, remember your John Garrett lines. But the idea of movement of all of this forward, again, not bad. It was just sort of the somewhat sloppily execution of some of the major plot movements and such, which I just didn't really appreciate. But again, there were a lot of great little moments in here. I love even Coulson's back. What was that, her season 3 jacket from back on the run in the day? I thought that was kind of cool looking. So again, there are nice moments, and I don't mind references. A lot of this season has been about references. Just, I guess you got to do them right. Touch on them. Easter eggs. Drop us little points. Don't lean too heavily into things, maybe. There's only 3 episodes left. So I guess, speaking of those 3, by the end, we've got sort of, I guess, the big final move of Sybil grabbing Gemma in order to get to Fitz. And this is, again, important because through the episode, Gemma was expressing something we have talked about. I talked last week, and we also talked on Fans of S.H.I.E.L.D. Fridays, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern. And that is that Fitz may be dead. And certainly the way Daisy recounts to Gemma about her reaction, you were devastated, you were inconsolable. And of course that Gemma hasn't heard anything back. Yeah, she's concerned, oh my god, maybe that he is dead. I love Deke kind of pulling her back on that, but that sort of felt right. But with Sybil having Nathaniel grab Gemma in order to get to Fitz, now yes, Gemma says Fitz's name, and Nathaniel doesn't, but he acknowledges that that's sort of where they're going. He doesn't correct her, and he would, so I don't think that little misdirection was really a misdirection. But yeah, I guess only way that they win, looking at all the time streams that Sybil has done, is Fitz gets in the way. So if they have to win, they have to get rid of Fitz. The only way to get to Fitz, they feel, is through Gemma, which of course is true. So that's their move. Get Gemma. That's the way to get to Fitz, so that's going to be kind of their end game. Now, I don't know how this plays into Earthly Anarchy with Nathaniel, or maybe the idea or promise that if Sybil gets what she wants, that Nathaniel can rule and win until the Chronicoms show up, and then... Yeah, Phil's right. He's not really thinking long term. He's not really thinking outside of this moment. But Nathaniel's kind of that character. But that does imply that Fitz is still alive, which is great. Somebody has left a great kind of theory out there that Diana, the implant in Gemma's brain, is named after their daughter, and that Fitz is protecting Diana where they are, and so Gemma had to leave, and that's why she is feeling sad and inconsolable that she had to leave her daughter behind. I would run into a lot of themes of this show, and that's possibly why she was so devastated. I kind of like that. Certainly that keeps Fitz alive, and we seem to have the implied theory here, of course, that in order to get to Fitz, that he must be alive to do that. Circumstances may change, but yeah, so at least that seems to be where we're going towards the end, which is kind of cool. But then we've got Cora with him, who's just... I don't even get that whole storyline now. Oh, and our little coda scene afterwards, where, of course, Zephyr's flying away, and we discover that Deke is still inside. That may be the ace in the hole for the team, because if I remember right, the Chronicoms have difficulty reading Deke's future, I guess because he's from the future and is now out of a timeline that no longer exists. I think also was the same was for Phil. I think if I remember, when the Chronicoms went back, they said, "We know all of your timelines and everything you do, except you two. You have difficulty readings." I believe it was both of them. Phil, because he is an LMD, not a Chronicom, not a human, a sort of random character, difficult, I guess, to figure things out. Now, they were able to guess some things about Phil, that he was going to, say, show up to see Cora. Not sure if they knew that he was going to ice her. I like that choice. Shoot her, but don't shoot her. God, Phil's smart. But I think with Deke on the Zephyr, that may be a variable that Sybil will have difficulty computing. So that might be the ace in the hole as a way to get Gemma out, or have the inside man in order to enact the necessary rescue protocol. So, yeah, pay attention to Deke, I think, in this circumstance. I think he's going to be the key. Alright, just a couple of small things. Obviously, messing with the timeline is difficult. When Daisy finds out that John... And I know this point is moot by the end of the episode. But the one thing about Daisy finding out about Cora being her sister is that Cora's death is what got Jia Yang to leave Afterlife and go travel with the charity groups, which is how she met Cal, Daisy's father, and how they were born. So if Cora doesn't kill herself, then Jia Yang won't leave Afterlife. If Jia Yang doesn't leave Afterlife, then she'll never meet Cal, and Daisy won't be born anyway. So even at the point of saving Jia Yang doesn't mean that Daisy will be born if she never ends up leaving Afterlife. And why would she if Cora was still alive? So in some ways they were sort of cluing in that one of them had to die, I guess. And again, by the end, with Jia Yang dead, it doesn't really make any difference whether or not Cora kills herself, because she's not going to meet Cal at this point. But yeah, so again, even just saving Jia Yang would not have necessarily fixed things unless they also found a way to make her meet Cal as well. So yeah, once you start messing with the future and timelines, small changes make big effects. Quippy dying statement. When young John Garrett is telling Phil about how many times he got to see him die, that making him feel better knowing that Phil shoots him with the big laser cannon. What was his favorite death? Well, when long-haired guy stabbed him with the pointy thing, which of course would be referring to Loki stabbing Coulson with a scepter. Funny thing is, of course, is that Coulson there then shot Loki with the same gun he ended up killing Garrett with. So I don't know. Would that be your favorite? I guess young Garrett's not that smart. A fun reflection up to the modern times. Daisy speaking to Sousa about things that have changed and not changed in the 21st century. Specifically, fascism's back. What, that thing that I fought 10 years ago? For Sousa, that's how long ago it was? Yeah. Some things are just difficult to get away from. We know what she's talking about. And she's right. Oh, and before anyone says that Nathaniel has access to Sybil and Chronicom technology and such, and that's how he can do the power change, remember, he says that discovery requires experimentation. Not an alien told me how to do this. So I'm not saying that Sybil didn't help him along the way, but he certainly didn't seem to imply that this was using alien tech. More along the lines of something he figured out. So, again, still sucks. Oh, my job's done. Alright, so there are just 3 episodes left. 2 weeks! 2 weeks. And then no more S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't even know if we're going to see Fitz next week. So, oh, man, so much excitement. The heartache in some ways is already starting up, but we're going to enjoy this as much as we can. And of course, we do that a little extra bit every week. Friday night, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern, for fans of S.H.I.E.L.D. Myself, Rob Stone from Smirking Gun Reviews, and Don Willi from A Dawn of Ice and Fire. We'll dive right back into the episode, try and cover all the things that I missed in this review, discover a few more, and of course, next week, that's Friday, August 7th, we will have our big fan episode. Just before the big finale, we're going to have you, the viewer, on the show. We're going to put out a little link. You're going to click onto it. You're going to jump on the live stream. You're going to share in their discussion. You're going to ask some questions. We're going to do a little back and forth. We did this before. It was a huge success. Can't wait to do it again. And that way we get a chance to also share all of our hopes of what we're going to see in the finale, because that's going to be a big talk. So, this Friday, fans of S.H.I.E.L.D., 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern, and then next Friday, the fan episode of Fans of S.H.I.E.L.D., where you, the viewer, will be on. But that is going to wrap us up, I think, for now. Thank you so much, as always, for joining me with these reviews. And if you like them, hey, go ahead, hit that like button, ring the bell for notifications, share with your friends, do all that social media stuff. Let's make the most of this before it's all over with. So yeah, do all of that. You know, you can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Darren Jakes. There's comment section below. Throw in your thoughts, expectations. Where are we going? Did you expect that twist? And is Deke going to be the big savior? I hope so. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Let's see. Subscribe. Right, we want you to do that. It's how you can hit the bell for notifications. You'll catch the rest of these reviews. Plus, in October, I guess, is we're going to have our big finale for The Walking Dead Season 10. Plus, we will be doing fan reviews of both The Boys, which comes September 4th, and then The Mandalorian, which comes up later in the year. So, yeah, lots of stuff to catch. You won't miss any of it if you're a subscriber. Do that by clicking this button right here. And we'll go ahead and throw up a couple of our latest reviews right here for you to check out. So, that's going to be it for me. I'm Dee, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.